Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with life coach and energy coach Linda Armstrong. Today is Friday, February the 21st, 2020. It's 4 p.m. New York time, and wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm happy that I had a productive day today. People who have been listening regularly know I've been working on this project, and today was a good day. I had a lot of stuff that I was able to get done, and it felt good. It felt really good getting stuff done. That doesn't sound perhaps particularly unusual, but you have to kind of keep in mind that this is an activity that I gave up doing a year ago because I got so sick of it, and here I am doing it again, and I'm loving it again, which just goes to show we can change our preferences at any time, but I'm loving it. It's good, and I'm having a good time with it.
Hey, every 10 seconds we can make a new choice, right? There's always a new opportunity, new choice, new possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's what makes it all so exciting. One of the challenges this week was that I was only able to get 3 shows in this week. This is the third one. Monday and Wednesday kind of got washed out. Monday I wasn't feeling well. Wednesday, Louise and I went off on a sleigh ride, which was fun, but it was also a day away, and it's good to have a break like that. But I was also feeling the pressure, like I really got to get all this stuff done. So today, going into it and being in a really good place, despite the fact that I had stuff that hadn't worked earlier, I like that. That tells me I'm getting better and better at staying focused on what I like, what I prefer, what feels good to me, and not getting all wrapped up in the stuff that doesn't go right. Because that's it,
right.
That's the whole trick, is just letting that stuff go like water down your duck's back. You just kind of let it go by. So that's how my week's been. How's your week been? You been having a good time?
Yeah, it's been going pretty good. I was going to say, just ask another question. I'm telling you, I am loving this asking new questions stuff. So, like if something's not going right, the easy one, how does it get any better than this?
Oh, yeah, right? That's right. Mm-hmm.
Or what's right about this that I'm not seeing? Or how can I blah, blah, blah? Like just ask the questions and then things will show up. And I tell you, things are showing up. And I'm not looking for the things to show up because I've learned that lesson.
Good for you.
But the cool thing is that the more you're in the question, it kind of becomes kind of fun to be talking to the universe, asking questions a lot. So because you're always asking more questions, I don't even think about looking for the answers to whatever I might have asked yesterday. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, actually, I usually have trouble remembering what the questions were yesterday. If I can remember the questions from an hour ago, I'm doing well. So I understand that one.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. Everything's all going well. If anyone's tuning in on the live stream, feel free to jump in with comments and questions. We'll try to incorporate them in what we're talking about today. But beyond that, I don't have a real topic in mind, which is so often the case on Friday. Friday is the day for just, finally, we got through the work week. Everything's going well. Weekend coming up. This is good. Life is good. That's the way I come into Fridays. Except when you bring in, like Chief Harold Peck or somebody like that. It's just, it's a day off almost.
Yeah. Well, Friday is like a fun day.
It is. It is a fun day. I look forward to it.
I actually have been in contact with this other psychic medium, and I meant to ask her about it. I think I mentioned her to you.
Oh, okay.
She's the daughter of a major crime boss from New York City.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. Well, that's interesting.
The Sopranos show is kind of even built a little bit off of this character. And because her dad would act like he was crazy, and he would like take her on walks to a place where then he'd have his meetings, Yeah. She wrote a book about it. Her name is Rita Giganti. Her dad is, I don't know his first name, but Giganti is the name.
Sure. Yeah.
And
wow. That must be so strange to grow up in a family like that. I mean, how do you just kind of differentiate between what you went through and what most people would call a normal upbringing? And they're so different that I don't really know that you could really do it. So I guess you just kind of accept it on its own terms, but that's a challenge.
Yeah. Well, and that's probably what brought on a lot of her gifts is, because she was very, even suicidal at times. She wrote a book. It's called The Godfather's Daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I have to check that one out.
I did contact her. Her name is Rita Giganti.
Chikanti, right? Okay, all right. Well, keep an eye open for that. Yeah, and invite her onto the show. You know, if she's got time and willing to join us, that would be an
Yeah, she
interesting
may.
conversation.
I'm gonna check with her.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah,
since we don't have anything really particular in mind,
yeah,
let's just choose a card and see what comes up. Ah, it's Fabio. Look at the picture. Man holding a coin.
oh my
Fabio.
goodness, it is. It looks just like him, doesn't it? That's
Yeah.
pretty wild.
When I would have my in-person meditation groups, whenever the women pull this card, like, ooh, Fabio.
I guess I don't
Right.
quite have the same reaction that a woman would have to him, or
No.
a gay man, I
But-
suppose. But
So let's see what the message is, because it's not geared just towards women.
that's good to know.
Or some sort of love interest. Okay, so
Well, these cards almost never point to exactly what you think they're going to point to. They point to something a little bit more esoteric usually.
there's usually more to it than what's on the surface.
Right.
So it says male connection in money, health, or value. This card shows a man sitting in a lushly flowering field holding a large bright coin. For men, this could indicate an aspect of yourself and the readiness to further your goals and receive increased health, money, or value in your life. Greater success is on its way when you take control of your own finances and act. This card upright could also reveal the assistance of a financial advisor or a healer whom you already know or are soon to meet. This man is helpful and may bring sage advice concerning the action you need to take next. Be open to this person showing up with support, but always turn to your own intuitive guidance to weigh the information that you receive. This could also signify a new love interest with a wealthy man or a man from work. All right, so
there's quite a bit there for a woman, I would say, or a gay man.
yeah, but really it could just be anyone showing up in your life, a male showing up in your life that might further your career in some way or help you with a particular goal. So they did say health as part of it. Could be anything.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Well, actually, as you were reading it, it occurred to me there was an incident earlier this week that did involve another male that could lead to some very good things for me. So
maybe this is a confirmation for you
that could
that
be.
You could take from this card.
Yeah.
But it did say somewhere in there to see what you feel about it, right? So you always want to say, does this make me feel lighter or does this make me feel heavy? So you'll know, okay, this is I can follow through with this. You really got to trust what you feel because everything's energy. So if there's one message to get across always on this show anyway, is you really got to trust your intuition, what you feel, and the energy of any situation, anything.
It's an interesting point because this particular person is somebody who I would trust very much. But what he was talking about was something that I don't have a whole lot of experience with. And so when he suggested it, I said, oh, well, sounds good, bring it along. But I really didn't know anything about any of it, to be honest. So I think I would kind of reserve my my intuitive response for when it becomes more imminent, when it becomes more of a possibility, because right now it just seems so remote.
Or you can also ask the question, since I don't fully understand all aspects of this, what kind of a reading can I get based on my limited knowledge of what it is he's putting forward? Like if you connect to it energetically to see what you feel about what he's proposing, if it's like for your highest good and if it's going to lead you further on your path.
Well, ultimately, that's the way it feels.
Yeah.
It does feel that way. Yeah.
It feels what way? That it's lighter? That it's
lighter. Yeah. That's
okay.
a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. See? It's easy, right? You don't have to know all the details to be able to tap into the energy of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think about that in this particular kind of case as more like the potential energy, but potential energy is still energy. So yeah, why not?
Yeah. You ever meet someone and right off the bat, there's a guy. Yeah. Okay. There's a guy delivering a package. Sorry. Outside my window. He came yesterday. Just wanted me to let him know. Yeah, it's okay. You can put it there. Yeah, that's fun. You never know what's going to happen on this show.
I tell you, it's crazy. But that's an interesting card to have come up because I hadn't given any more thought to that particular incident since then. It's almost like it was a a little nudge, say, remember that? This is important. Pay attention.
Okay, good. But you know how sometimes you meet somebody and you just get this vibe like, oh, no, I'm sorry, you just want to get away.
Mm.
You got to trust that, right?
Oh,
or
yeah.
some friend of yours introduces you to some friend, and I'm not talking about romantically, just introducing you to a friend,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of something doesn't sit right, and it's like, looks like a nice person, sounds like a nice person, but you got this kind of a feeling like, I don't know about this person.
Mm.
Listen to that.
Mm-hmm. I have learned to listen to that a whole lot more. I'll tell you what used to confuse me about getting like an internal signal about somebody else. And I'm talking many years ago, probably around the time when I first started to become aware of law of attraction, Abraham Hicks and so forth. At that point in time, my own viewpoint, my own attitude was so focused on people who I didn't like that it seemed like everybody I knew was somebody I didn't like. So it created a bit of confusion, because if I'm trying to discern, okay, how do I feel about this person? It always seemed like the answer was no, 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 no. And so it made me think, well, how intuitive am I really? The answer is always no. That can't possibly be right. But obviously it turned out that, yeah, it was actually much more accurate than I thought it was. So for me, just feeling that something isn't right about somebody, that's actually pretty easy. That I don't have a whole lot of trouble with that one. Where my challenges come in are when I do feel good about somebody, but what they're talking about is something that I'm either not familiar with, like in this case, or something that in and of itself, separate from the person, I would not normally feel good about, but I like this person. And that kind of conflict, I'm not sure what to do with.
Part of that could also be because you were opening up to something new that Abraham was introducing. So your awareness is becoming more open. So then you may just pull in a lot of people that will reflect something to you. So if you come up with a judgment about that if you come up with a judgment about anything, most likely you're judging yourself. Some part of you somewhere within you, or something that you've learned from outside of you about whatever this is that's being triggered. Mm-hmm. So it's just something to look at and say, oh, okay, interesting. And you can do interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Say that a few times, and that whole energy just kind of dissipates. So that's another thing to look at. Like, why am I feeling this way towards this person? Is it just my own stuff, or is it something that they're really putting out there that I know I need to stay far away from? So, you got to really, fine tune the energy and look into it. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, and you've mentioned that idea of, isn't that interesting as a way of engaging, but without getting all wrapped up in it. Oh my God, this is working out terribly, or oh great, this is working out wonderfully, and taking it so far into the extremes that you've kind of lost touch with what the actual energy of it was.
Yeah, I've been doing that a lot. Like, interesting point of view. I have this point of view. So what is this all about? Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. And really just by saying it and acknowledging, okay, I have that point of view. And then it becomes kind of like when you say it a few times, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. It's like if you ever say a word over and over again, you're like, what does the word even mean?
Yes, right.
Did you ever do that? Like you say a word.
Oh, sure.
Over. I used to do that when I was younger a lot. You would say it over and over. You're like, I don't even know what that means anymore. It's like a simple word. But you kind of just took everything out of it and made it flat, made it like something that there's no judgment about what that has to mean. What does it mean? I was told this is what it means. Those people reflected, no, that actually means this, right?
And of course, these days with the ubiquitous electronics, I mean, they're everywhere, the phones and the computers and everything. It's just so easy to look these things up. So you're right. When you get it to the point where it's flat, I thought that was a good adjective, where it doesn't have any emotional affect to it. All of a sudden, it creates curiosity. Like, what does that mean? Just like you said. And so I find myself looking stuff up a lot, stuff that I really already knew, but kind of like reconfirming what I knew or ironing out, here's a little bit of unclarity. So what exactly does that work out to? Oh, that's what it works out to. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, it kind of opens it up and can bring either maybe new life to something, or dissipates some, let's call it negative charge that was associated with that, which really didn't belong there, but it was something, a pattern or a program you picked up from someone else that you put onto it.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. Interesting you mentioned that, because I had a conversation with somebody recently, within the last couple of months, in which the person threw an adjective at me, and I'm pretty sure that they were saying it in order to be dismissive or insulting. I didn't take it as an insult, and my knowledge of the definition was kind of foggy anyway, so it was made it easier to kind of separate from it. But afterward, I wanted to go look it up and see what the definition was, so I did. I went and looked it up to see what it was he accused me of, and when I read it, I didn't have any emotional reaction to it at all, simply because I didn't allow myself to have any in the first place. But it was interesting, and okay, well, if that's the worst he can call me, hey, I've been called worse than that. I'm doing pretty good.
And again, interesting point of view.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I picked this card, and we'll find out why. Follow the leader.
Ooh, another nice piece of artwork too.
I don't know what it's going to be talking about. There's like a fairy and some ducks and things like that.
A path leading up to a tree. Yeah.
Okay.
A winding path.
It says, glasses. Every life is a teaching tool for others. Your authenticity and honesty are examples to those around you. So upright, it says you're being called to lead others by example. Your wisdom has been earned as a result of your bravery in the adventures of your life. The experiences of battles won and lost, places discovered, tears shed, and joy revealed have placed you in a unique position to be of service for others. Your suffering has been crystallized into a talisman of wisdom. Now you must share it by being fully authentic. You'll lead others into the light. You'll be required to divulge some things about your past that you may help, so that you may help someone else. Lead with love. And there's another message here as well. Look to those whose great character and accomplishments you admire and emulate the leaders you respect. You will then in turn have more to offer. It's nice.
When you're reading that card, it's making me realize that in rather stark contrast, the difference between a true leader, which is what that card is describing, which is somebody who didn't really go out of their way to be a leader. They just end up being a leader because they're on a path that works and they're using approaches that work, and so other people catch on to it and they like it and they keep following along, as opposed to somebody, I guess the stereotypical example would be the politician. I'm going to get out in front of where people are so I can lead them, that kind of thing. It's kind of a fake form of leading. And there's a very big difference between the two, because the first kind is genuine and it actually leads much more consistently to great results. Whereas the second one is a little bit dicey. You never know what's going to come out of that one.
Yeah. All right.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
Well, so we had the man holding the coin, and then we had this leader thing showing up.
Yeah, I wonder what the connection is there. I don't know about that one. There's got to be something, but it may not. Well, it may not be you or me. It may be somebody listening in.
Yeah.
These days we have hundreds of people listening, so certainly can't rule that out. And as you pointed out, these cards can apply to multiple people. It doesn't have to apply to just one person. So whoever you are out there, if you know what this is, send us a note. Just tell us what it was about. We'd like to know what the particular connection is. Because normally these cards are pretty obvious. We can tell, oh yeah, this is definitely connected to the conversation or something that is a little bit more obscure today.
But it's always the intention on this show anyway, is that it's a general reading.
Right.
Because I'm not just reading specifically for you.
Right.
Or for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the cards often match up with what we're talking about because we're the ones doing the talking, but that doesn't.
Because that's what the energy is bringing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Which
cool.
is kind of cool.
It's very good. Yeah. Which deck are you working with today anyway?
So far we did the Energy Oracle and we did the Enchanted Map, and now we're going to
Enchanted Map. Yeah. Have you brought that one out before? I don't remember that one.
Yeah, we've done this before.
We have. Okay. Colette Baron Reid. Okay.
Colette Baron Reid. I have a bunch of her decks. This one, Vibrational Energy. This is the one that has a little tiny paragraph.
Ah, okay. So it's glasses time.
It says a lot in its little paragraph, sometimes in the simplest of ways, which is really cool.
Well, that's actually the sign of a good writer. I mean, I'm not sure how he or she draws these messages, but if you can be pithy like that, if you can really reduce it down to a very simple thought, you're doing a good job without taking the meat off the bone. I mean, you want to leave the meat on the bone. But
yeah.
Yeah, if you can do that, that's a skill. That's a real skill.
Oh, wild and free wind sprite.
A wind sprite. Oh, I see. It's like a person with their hair blowing. Okay. Wild and free wind sprite. All right. I'm curious to know what a wind sprite is, but we'll find that out.
Let's see what. Well, sprites are like fairies.
Mm-hmm.
QRSTUVW. Okay.
Not going exactly to the page today, but that's all right.
It's gonna be fine. Oh, there it is. I must have passed it up a few times.
Oh, that's right.
All right. So I was beginning to think there were no W's in the deck in my book here. I'm like, boy, I'm going to find this thing. All right. So it says the wind sprite is an unrestrained creature who can sometimes be responsible for causing havoc and mayhem.
Oh.
In its true essence, it just wants you to be wild and free, just as you do. The core soul vibration of your spirit is lacking the joy and independent freedom which it so rightly possesses and acknowledges regardless of what other people say. So like really just being you and allowing yourself to be free. Wild and free. That's what it's talking about.
Well, it reminds me of letting go of resistances. I mean, when you're going wild and free, you're basically saying, I throw all that other stuff to the wind. I'm not interested in that anymore. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go with what feels good. I'm going to go with where I want to go.
And that's what it says here, regardless of what others say.
Right.
And that's good because too many people just give their power away by thinking the other person knows better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were born here knowing that we know, but then we're kind of taught that we don't know, that we have to listen to those people to tell us what's what,
Especially when that's a tape, one of those old tapes that keep playing in your head. Those are the kinds that you definitely want to use this rule with, because those are the ones that once we identify them and recognize them for what they are, they're the ones we want to leave behind. So that, to me, this card speaks most strongly to those situations where we have some old program that's playing, and we're able to identify that, there's this old program playing, because all of a sudden I hear, my mom's voice coming out of my mouth or something like that. Oh yeah, okay, I want to let go of that thing. There's where I can see this concept really coming in handy. I'm going to let go of that. I'm just going to be free of this. I'm going to be wild and free.
Right, and that's why I do the work that I do. So we can get rid of this stuff that's just mucking up the path. We can't see what we're really here to do when we have all this other stuff running in the background that's telling us how life is, who I am.
Well, that's what makes
who you are. You don't have to. Yeah, when you start getting rid of all that gunk in the way, you're like, that's what I really want to do, or that's how I feel. I never allowed myself. I mean, that's the whole thing with receiving. When people are afraid to receive, they can only give.
That's where what you do is so helpful. I mean, because you actually help people remove blocks with your energy work. And essentially, now this is me describing what you've told me in the past and what you've shown me in the past. Instead of me having to go through and figure out, okay, what's this little block that I'm going on? What's that old tape that's playing? What's that old program that keeps repeating itself over and over again? You just kind of clear it. It's just gone. You don't even have to spend much time on the darn thing. So yours is like the shortcut to getting there.
Yeah, like we don't have to know every little detail of it. We just have to find the energy of it and then let it go.
Yeah.
Because you can wreck your brain forever trying to figure out why something was a certain way. You'll never really know, especially when it comes from outside of you, because you can't know what's in that person's awareness.
True.
And what created that for them, so that now they're doing that, passing that on to you.
I mean, just even noticing that there was probably a program going on with them that led them to say that alone is a big breakthrough, and even that doesn't tell you a whole lot. So it kind of illustrates what you're saying. You don't necessarily
know. And now, interestingly, I don't really know what this card's going to say. It's parenting.
Yeah, of course it is. That's what we're used to around here. The card hits exactly what we're talking about.
All right. But let's see what it actually says here.
Okay.
So This card indicates that you have a natural gift for parenting and working with children. Perhaps you have a child or children of your own, or maybe there are children within your extended family or circle of friends. Maybe you play the parental role within your relationships with others who tend to behave like children. Whatever the case may be, your ability to teach, nurture, and guide the next generation raises the vibration of the world. Every ounce of time, attention, love, and support you invest in a child pays dividends down the road. I would say, yeah, maybe for us or anyone who's a little more aware, because when you're aware, like I caught myself many times throughout the years, almost reacting the way that my mom might have reacted towards my son. And like, oh, seeing it and like, no, I'm not going there. What the heck was that? Like I almost did that.
Yeah, you know? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and catching yourself on that is good.
Yeah. And so with more awareness, you realize this little being who just came to this world is more switched on than I am. So I don't want to dampen that and smother it. I want to allow that to express however it is. Now, it might not be easy all the time because, you know, it's totally going to be different to what you've done.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Well, plus, there's always the inherent not conflict, but the inherent tug of war, so to speak, between what the parent needs to have happened and what the child wants to happen. And they don't always mesh. So that dynamic is always in the background, and it's a challenge to deal with it.
But as long as it's not life-threatening or someone's going to get hurt, if we could just have the patience to let them find it their way, then they might actually get the lesson better than just doing what we tell them to do, you know?
Yeah, actually, that is more the rule than the exception, which is really interesting.
Yeah. So it says, this is a time to honor and embrace the significant role you play in the life of a child, whether it's your own or that of a partner, neighbor, relative, client, or friend. Don't underestimate the importance of your unconditional love and guidance, because even a small gesture can have massive impact on a child's life. Like maybe even allowing them to make their own mistakes, right? So that
no doubt.
You know. In order to improve your current situation, you're being asked to adjust to and harmonize with the natural rhythms and cycles of your life, cycles that are encouraging you to spend quality time with children. Go out of your way to brighten a child's day. Give your attention freely and know that a little bit goes a long way. By investing in the younger generation, you invest in a future of humankind. Now, you know, that made me think of, my husband was at a park one day. I think he was there with my son. And this other little kid who we didn't know just gravitated towards my husband. He just wanted to be in his space and do things. He didn't want to be in my son's space. He wanted to be in my husband's space. Right?
Yeah, right.
So there was obviously something from that little bit of an interaction that you would think, oh, well, it's just some kid wanting to hang out with us all day long. But there was, you know, kids are switched on. So there was something that happened there that was probably bigger than we could ever imagine. That child got from that, and that even my husband would have gotten from that interaction of having this little soul cling to him for that time. And the kid's parent was there, but the kid was just so drawn to my husband.
And by the way, that same rule of thumb doesn't have to be between adults and children. It can also be between children and children and between adults and adults. And an example that comes to my mind is the famous inventor and a rather controversial inventor. He has people who love him and people who hate him and people who just kind of look askance at him. Elon Musk, who invented the Tesla car and who is involved in SpaceX. He runs and owns SpaceX and a lot of, he has $4 billion ventures. I mean, that's just incredible to think about. But anyway, the reason I mention him is when Louise and I went to Florida for our vacation last month, my brother works at Cape Canaveral at the NASA Space Center, and he got tickets for us to go take the tour and all that kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun. It was really great too to see the building my brother works in is like, you can't really call it a street because there aren't any streets, but it is right next door to the building where they assemble the rockets. And there's like nothing else for miles around. So, I mean, he's like right there, which is pretty cool. But anyway, we got to talking about Elon Musk because the day after we left, there was a launch to put more of his satellites into space. And in the conversation, my brother pointed out something really interesting about Musk's approach to working with his employees to do things like get rockets into space. He believes in a philosophy of fail early, fail often. And his approach is essentially, let's make every mistake we can possibly make so that we get them out of the way soonest. And if we just keep eliminating mistakes, we're going to finally end up with something that works really well.
Right. And I'm sure it takes away any fear of trying,
exactly.
Or experimenting,
Yeah. I mean,
like
when they
the
first
question
did,
of, well, what if it's wrong? Well, so what if it's wrong? We go on to the next one. Yeah.
When we first entered the space race back in the 1960s, and NASA was trying to launch Apollo and put Apollo on the moon and send men to the moon and so forth, there was a tremendous pressure to get it all done right. Because the fear was if you don't get it done right, like with Apollo 1, you're going to kill people. And, nobody wanted that to happen. And so for us to come along and say, you don't have to worry about the mistakes. You just have to protect people from the mistakes. But make the mistakes. That's a different viewpoint. That's a different energy. And I really liked it a lot. In fact, I've been trying to incorporate it into my own work. Now, obviously, I'm just doing my own stuff and not working with a team. But you can still apply it in your own life. You don't have to be working with a team in order to apply it. But it's especially effective when you are working with somebody else. And that's why I say it's great to look at how even making mistakes as adults can be really, really helpful. Because you talk about that child who just kind of lashed onto your husband, and you don't necessarily know why he lashed on, but he was getting something out of that. Was there a mistake in there? Who knows? The point is, it doesn't matter. If there was a mistake, he needed to make it and get it out of the way. And if there wasn't one, then he was having a great connection. But just by taking all of the energy away from, oh my God, are we making mistakes, and putting it on to, wow, are we learning? Are we having fun? Are we growing? Mistakes don't become important anymore. They become something to just move beyond.
Well, so the card that I picked while we're speaking about this.
Reach for the stars. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So this one says, the message is clear. You are an instrument of divine creativity and are being called upon to live up to your true heritage. Your divine energy is calling you to fully claim your unlimited potential by directing your thoughts and emotions solely towards your highest dreams. Your divine invitation: support your vision by stabilizing and strengthening your body with healthy diet and regular exercise, and augment your mental faculties by taking command of your thoughts, focusing only on a positive creative outcome. Don't be swept away by the negative waves of despair and that negative waves of despair that travel along the planet. Separate yourself from the unconscious masses and energetically claim and express your divinity. Be brilliant and reach for the stars. This is the best way to serve your goals and help your fellow humans. So I like that. Don't be swept away by the negative waves of despair that travel the planet, because that's what would stop you, like in your tracks, from attempting something or starting something new.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have become more aware of Elon Musk lore, since visiting my brother. And what you just described there, what you just read, reminded me of another Musk story that some people probably know about, but many may not. I certainly didn't know about it. One of the things that Elon did when they were in the middle of testing, that one of the things they're trying to do is to colonize Mars. They're actively, taking the steps so that they can actually put a colony on Mars. And toward that end, there was a reason why they had to send a rocket out toward Mars. And so they decided to send the rocket with a dummy aboard as the astronaut to kind of, just have fun. Because among other things, Musk got a lot of his inspiration from reading science fiction when he was a kid. And he was interested in science fiction movies, so Star Trek, Star Wars, all that kind of stuff. And, the science fiction writers, Asimov, Heinlein, all those guys. And he was very inspired by them. So he actively incorporates not only the ideas he picked up from the literature in what he creates, in what he does with rocketry, but he also likes to do so playfully. So on the more serious side, I don't know if you're aware of this. This is something I wasn't aware of. He and his team have actually successfully managed to take the rocket part, the rocket that usually gets disconnected from the capsule when it gets partway up into the atmosphere, and recover it. Because they figured it's kind of like the way that NASA used to do it with the Apollo missions. It's kind of like building a jetliner and then discarding it after the first flight. and he's right, that doesn't make any sense. You want to try to recover it if you can. They've actually managed to take those rocket boosters, and after they're done boosting the capsule, return them to Earth and land them tail fin down on the ground. And I don't know if you've ever seen that happen. You can see video of it on YouTube. And it looks like science fiction. It looks like it came out of a movie. Like, that couldn't really have happened, but it really happened. You see it. It's like, oh my God, how did they do that?
Well, you know what's interesting about this conversation?
What's that?
I meant to text you like a week ago, and tell you to watch The Cosmic Secret. It's a movie by David Wilcock. You can get it on Amazon. The Cosmic Secret. Yeah. So if you have any interest in any of this space stuff, alien stuff, where technologies have come from, ancient technologies that couldn't be explained and all this, and he has, people on there, whistleblowers that were in the secret space program. They show articles, news stories, things that have been out there, but not having a spotlight on them. Mm-hmm. Because it's like we're being just like kind of fed these little bits of things so that when something major shifts or changes, or there's some like contact that's going to be let known globally, we won't be shocked, right? Because there's little bits of information out there. Well, this movie, it pieces it all together. It's pretty cool. Yeah. What was it called again? The Cosmic Secret. Check it out.
Cosmic Secret. Okay. Yeah, we'll check that one out.
Sounds if you know of Corey Good, he was one of the guys in the secret space program. He's had all kinds of contact with extraterrestrials. And so they talk about some of that stuff in the movie as well.
Oh, and by the way, I'll finish my Musk story by saying not only on the serious side does he do things like actually landing rocket boosters on their tail fins to be used again for the next flight, but in the more humorous and having fun vein, they wanted to put a payload into space, and they decided to take a Tesla car and make that the payload. And then they put a dummy in the Tesla car, and inside the Tesla, the dummy's wearing a spacesuit. He's sitting in the car. It's a convertible, so the top is down. And for those who are Douglas Adams fans and who know the reference, there's a sign on the dashboard that says, "Don't panic." Anyone who's a Douglas Adams fan is going to know that particular reference. But I mean, just out of pure, let's have fun doing this. I mean, putting a car in space, who would think of doing that? But he decided to have fun and just put one of his cars in space.
Yeah, I mean, life's supposed to be fun, right?
That's right.
So why not? Why not? So you can look at it as, yeah, I mean, that's not something, he's not listening to outside voices that would say, that's crazy or that's stupid or don't do this or don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, he wouldn't have accomplished half of what he had accomplished so far if he had listened to those voices, because he's been doing things that they said that literally you couldn't do. It's just not possible. Yeah. I mean, the Tesla car, I mentioned the Tesla, right? That's an all electric car. He actually managed to make a Tesla that's faster than the fastest sports cars.
Wow.
I mean, people would tell you that was not possible. Well, he did it.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
It's like the 4-minute mile and all those other things that were not possible till somebody did it. And now, of course, it's possible. So now we can go even further.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Let's get the answer is simple card.
The answer is simple. An oracle
card. And it is put others first.
Ah, okay.
That's interesting.
Especially in the context of those earlier cards. There's a theme that it's pointing toward.
Because I think people do that too much. And neglect themselves. Mm-hmm. Because really, truly, it's like, the better you are for yourself, the better you are for everybody else around you. But let's see what this card has to say about it.
Sure, absolutely.
Put others first. Oh, gotta have the glasses on. Okay. So it says, presently your spirit is calling you to make choices that will serve others. Okay, that's cool. I'm with it. That would serve other people's needs more than your own. It may be as simple as giving up an hour at the gym in order to help a company finish a project, skipping a pre-planned night out with friends in order to host a last-minute visitor from out of town, or changing your vacation dates in order to attend an employee's wedding or employer's wedding. Whatever sacrifice you're called upon to make, know that in the big picture, your willingness to do so is serving the greater good of all. Okay, well, I could see lots of situations where that would be really nice. It says the ego doesn't like to be interrupted. It perceives a change in plans as an affront to its importance and balks at the disruption, making it a painful and unpleasant ordeal. Well, yeah, that happens too. You can see that, right?
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah. The spirit, on the other hand, is flexible and adaptable, placing service to humanity over selfish interests at all times. Although your ego may be temporarily inconvenienced by the disruption, the effort you make to accommodate others will bring about a deeper sense of peace than this petty part of you that can never create. So take it easy on your ego and make it delightful for your spirit and expect disruptions. All right.
Well, I'm not sure that I would want to always put somebody else's interests ahead of mine, because that can actually be self-destructive. But I like the message that when you're focused on what is the appropriate thing for you to be focused on, and you get a disruption that in some way meshes with that, then it makes total sense, because it's no longer a disruption. And I took the message this way, that when that happens, don't get all bent out of shape. Recognize, there's benefit here, and it works both ways. Yes, there's benefit for you, but there's also benefit for others. And that's what I think usually happens. I don't think there are too many situations where our actions are either unilaterally in just our own interest or unilaterally in everybody else's interest. I think there's always an overlap. And so I see this card as pointing more toward, engage in the balance.
I'd say, again, you got to look at how does this feel? Does this feel lighter if I do this? Because, of course, when you're doing things and you shift things because you really want to, because you feel this opening in your heart or something lifts you up to be able to do that for that person. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if you're going to regret it and resent it, well, that's a different story, right? So you got to find the energy around it. So, yeah, it's a balance, because some people will give all their power away and not do anything for themselves. But that's the part that I like to try to reverse. And some people will do things only for themselves at the, what's the word? That actually would be bad for other people. So you don't want that either, right? Mm-hmm, so that's why you want to feel the energy around, how does this feel? Does this feel lighter if I do this all around?
I think it's also a reminder that if there is something that would normally be a good energy feeling thing and you're not feeling good about it, first of all, honor the fact that you're not feeling good about it. But second of all, ask yourself why. What is it? There's probably some sort of message in there, some sort of piece of information that's useful to know. So I've been trying to be less dismissive of stuff that I don't like. Not because I want to take it into my life, but because I don't want to be dragged down by it. I don't want to allow myself to just get wrapped up in, oh God, I really don't want to have to deal with that thing. That's such a down energy, and all it's going to do is tie me down. So I'd rather know a little bit more about the thing and see if I can appreciate it on some level and then let go of it.
Right. So that's where I think you just have to honor the energy of it. And how does it feel? Does it feel lighter and brighter to do this thing? Mm-hmm. Probably most of the time it would, but there might be times when it doesn't. Yeah. And then that opens up a whole can of worms, because that just grows into the next thing. And then you're holding resentment for that. And that's like, then you get to this thing where it's the straw that broke the camel's back, where somebody flips out over something that's very little, but only because it has so many other things energetically hooked up to it.
Yeah.
Where there's resentment and regret.
That's exactly it. It tends to build up over time. It's the idea of the vortex, isn't it? A vortex increases in speed and in rotation as time goes on. As you continue to focus on it and focus on it and focus on it, it gets bigger and bigger. Well, it works both with stuff that you like and stuff that you don't like. So if you're focusing on what you don't like and you're really focusing on what you don't like and you're really, really, really focusing on it, guess what? It's going to get big. That's just the way it works.
I mean, I could think of I can't think of right now. I was trying to bring up a specific thing. I don't have it, but there have been times where my mom basically forced me to do something. Or go to some party or something, because it wouldn't look good if all of my kids don't go, and blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, I really didn't want to go. And it wasn't until I've been doing all this work where I can say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I don't care if someone thinks less of me because I'm not going to be at this thing. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's your thing that you're holding. You know,
Yeah.
nobody's going to even care. And so then I decided, well, I'm just not going to do that one. Sorry. Catch me in the next one.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think there's another piece to this too. There are people who make it their lifestyle to always be helping somebody else, always help somebody else, always help something else, which they could read the card that you just read that way. Always help somebody else, always help somebody else. But I don't think that's actually what the card meant, because literally, if you are always helping somebody else to the exclusion of your own interest, you eventually run out of energy. You eventually run out of the ability to sustain yourself. And
because you're not feeding yourself.
You're not feeding yourself, right? And you can't give something that you don't have. So, you have to replenish at some point. And if you're not replenishing, then you can believe in giving all you want to, but if you run out of things to give, if you don't have energy, you can't give any energy. You can't help. You got to build it up in yourself first before you can give it away.
Yeah. Maybe a question to ask is, would doing this expand my consciousness and all of those involved, and see what that feels like?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But if you start feeling like you get that heavy energy, like you're dreading it, well, I don't know, but maybe you can make a different choice.
It's a good time to reevaluate and say, well, is this really going to be helpful?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the rule of thumb I follow. If I'm considering doing something that may be helpful to somebody else, the first thing I ask myself is, will it also be helpful to me? Because if it's going to be counterproductive for me, I'm not going to be helping anybody else for a long time, just because, I could just dive in and help them, but I'll run out of energy quick.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's going to be something that's going to help me and be helpful to them, I can do that all day long.
And one more note about that is, if you decide you're going to go because you're maybe being forced to, then you need to go with a high energy. Like, don't hold the resentment of having to be there. You're making the choice that you're going to go along with that. So you've chosen now to be there, or whatever it is that's going on, or to do this thing. So let's do it from a higher energy place, a bigger awareness and consciousness, because then it can be, because, we create our lives in every moment. So we're going to be there. Let's be there.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's true. And in fact,
as you said that resentment.
As you said that, it reminded me that very often we kind of overlook the fact that we attracted those situations to us in the first place. It's almost like a reminder, okay, I'm not really sure perhaps how I attracted this thing that I don't want to have to do, but I did. So why not just let go of that negative energy I've got associated with it? Just kind of say, okay, well, all right, I did it again, but I'll just aim to do a little bit better next time. No big deal.
Right. So, yeah, I had a thought come to me a minute ago, something about like this cycle, but now I lost it. So whatever that was.
Well, the card looks like
it was. But
the
this
card
card,
looks like it's going to tell us. Yeah, I think it's going to actually take it
be grateful, right?
Grateful.
So if you make a decision if you do make that decision to do something or be something for whatever that you originally didn't want to do. So yeah, why not bring this energy, gratitude with you, and go from there, rather than holding any resentment or regrets or like heavy energy about I'm being forced to do this.
And a key point.
Look for the gift in it.
Like right.
Maybe there's something in here that that I can use to benefit myself and other people as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I was going to say is, you don't have to be grateful for the fact that you're doing something you don't want to do, but you can find other reasons to be grateful. And you just described it beautifully. There's a gift in there. If you can find that gift, now you have a reason to be grateful without even being connected to the fact that you didn't really want to do it.
Right. So what if we're grateful for the fact that we're alive and people want us somewhere?
Yeah.
Someone wants me to be there, or someone would like me to assist them in some way.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, we don't have to like the thing that we were doing, but we can like something else that's going on around it or with it or about it.
But if you go there with a higher energy of, okay, I'm going to just go with gratitude, then probably all kinds of things can show up to where at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I did that, instead of holding that heavy energy the whole time, right? Because we can choose at any moment. So you chose to do the thing maybe you didn't want to do, but now you're doing it. So now we can choose to be the best we can be at that moment.
Anyone who's in a primary relationship or has been in a primary relationship knows what that's like, because there are times where Louise and I will be out doing a weekend trip or something like that, and she likes, like most women, she likes to go into the shops in the town that we're in and see what's in the shops. And like most men, I don't really care too much about that, but I don't get all bent out of shape about it because, well, first of all, my wife's pretty quick about it. Second of all, I have learned the lesson of what you just described. Sometimes while that's happening, it leads to some other event that you would not normally have run into. Like we'll discover a great ice cream parlor, or we'll discover there's this really great park over here that we didn't know about, or, oh my God, there's a great seaside venue there that we didn't see, and oh my goodness, we could have dinner there right on the water. Stuff like that can happen when you become open to something that you weren't really interested in the first place, but you kind of go along with it and find, oh my God, there's good stuff that goes along with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's read what this grateful card is about.
Okay.
So it says, make a list of all you've been giving. Make a list of all that you've been given so that you can fully absorb how much abundance you truly enjoy in your life. Think of this as a gratitude list. Add to it daily as you notice the little things in your life that you truly appreciate. Rather than worrying about what you do or don't have, look at all the things that you do have. As you understand how thankful you should be, send a signal to the universe to give me more, and it will. I think there's more. Hold on. No, that was it. Yeah.
Well, gratitude is certainly one of the primary ways to signal, to put out that signal, because it's actually one of the easier high vibration places to get to, particularly when you're not feeling high vibrational, when you're not feeling really great. I think gratitude is probably one of the quickest ones to get to. And so it's a good starting point, no matter where you're at, really.
Right, because there's always something you can find that you're grateful for.
Exactly.
I mean, there just is. You just have to open your awareness, your eyes to these things.
And you have to kind of open your willingness to identify what it is that you like. I found that when I was first trying to refocus my attention, do the Abraham Hicks technique, right? Okay, here's something going on, or here's some choice that I don't like. Pivoting to what I do like requires, in some way, identifying what it is that I like, which early on, that can be pretty tough. I mean, when you're first starting this kind of a process, even identifying what those things are can be very, very difficult. But that's part of the exercise, is taking the time to kind of ask yourself, well, what do I like? What do I want? What would I prefer here? And in a very concrete way, not just, oh, I don't want that bad thing, but precisely in the positive sense. What do you like? What would you like to have happen?
Right.
Learning to ask that question and learning to answer it, I firmly believe, is one of the strongest things we can do in terms of taking control of our lives.
Yeah. And you can always ask, what good thing can come from this? Like just
Absolutely.
Ask questions. So instead of getting stuck in the energy of the not wanting to, if that's what we're talking about, you can flip it easily by asking some questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I've decided to do this, show me how this benefits me. How does this benefit me doing this action? Or, you can always think of some kind of question to ask. I'm telling you, living in the question creates possibilities, right? And we're creators, and we always want to create new possibilities. When you don't ask questions, you kind of cut yourself off from so much more that could be a part of anything that you're looking to or that you desire to create in your life.
So true. We definitely don't want to be cutting ourselves off. All that does is create that lack that none of us like so much.
I don't think I picked an animal card last week. I wanted to, but I think we ran out of time. So I'm going to choose one. We have like a couple of minutes left.
We have a few minutes. Yep.
So we're asking, let me shuffle it again. We're going to ask what message can we take with us to move forward through this week?
Okay. That sounds
good. What animal message can we expand from? Upside down cow spirit. It came in reverse, but it's about miracles.
Okay.
The miracles are endless, but in the reverse.
In the reverse, right. That's the first reverse card we've had in a while, too.
Yeah. Let's see what happens there. Number 15. Got it. Cow spirit. All right. So miracles are endless. So in the reversed position, cow spirit asks you to pay attention to how much you nourish your mind. or how you nourish your mind, body, and spirit. Because right now, you're wobbling around like a newborn calf on its unsteady legs.
It's quite an
Perhaps
image.
you've been spending too much time distracting yourself on the internet or obsessing over a relationship or choosing to eat food that is not healthy. Whatever it is, you're being nudged to assess how you're looking after your needs. Remember, the universe has a way of reflecting back to you events and conditions that match how you treat yourself. Cow Spirit reminds you that the universe wants to give you the very best, but needs you to do your part to participate and nourish your well-being. Heed her message and everything will shift in your favor. Aha. Interesting.
Okay. That's an interesting card to finish on today. I have a feeling there's...
Yeah, but it kind of ties into that last one where we're putting everybody else in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So pay attention to what things, how you can nourish yourself more or better or do things to treat yourself is what it's saying here.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's how you build that energy up so you do have something to give. So that you're right. That does tie in very nicely.
And it's funny too, because I'm thinking of someone I was working with this week who got really sick. And this is a person that's always pushing, like always busy, always doing a million things.
Mm-hmm.
And like sometimes you're not taking care of yourself. The universe is going to give you a message like, take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had two things happen over the summer where I got that message because I was kind of in that mode of constantly hustle, bustle, create this, do this, do this. And I was, I can look at it back at it now and see I was kind of losing myself there. I did some videos about this recently. And so those experiences kind of forced me to totally pay attention to me. And it actually brought me even to doing more creative stuff that I kind of neglected that part of myself. And now I'm making all these different items I'm going to be putting on my Etsy store. Whether people buy them or not, doesn't matter. It's gotten me into this other energy and reconnecting with that kind of creative part of myself once again.
Sure.
But you know what? It kind of took me pretty much injuring myself twice.
Oh dear.
To do it. Yeah. Yeah. That's how the universe can knock you over the head sometimes. Listen, you're not paying attention to actually that message came through a few times today, right? But it wasn't like where I had a choice where, my mom says, you have to go to that wedding or blah, 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 right? No. It was me making choices for myself that were actually not really looking at, what I would, just chilling and being without having to be busy doing,
And the way it happens, Louise likes to describe it this way. Louise, my wife, she says the first time you'll get a nudge, and the second time you'll get a poke in the shoulder, and the third time you'll get a shove, and the fourth time you get the 2x4 to the side of the head, and the fifth time you get it with a spike. It's giving you the opportunity to notice, and it's just coming at you harder and harder until you notice it.
Yep.
And that's the way that works. Hey, before we finish for the day, I want to make sure that I get some promotional announcements out there. So first and foremost, if you're not yet a subscriber to the podcast, please become one. Most of you are. We really appreciate all of you who are. But those of you who are not, who might be in the small minority, we want to invite you to join the fun. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it takes about a minute to do. Literally, you go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net, click at the top of the page where it describes. It's pretty easy. You just click once or twice. And from that point on, you're a subscriber. All of our episodes are coming streaming right to your phone every single time that we play them. And also check us out on YouTube because we live stream to YouTube as we are recording, so you can actually see what we look like and subscribe there as well. I also want to invite people who are not yet members of the Law of Attraction Pivot Pals group on Facebook to join there if you'd like to be involved in a community of people who basically just share, here's what I'm trying to attract into my life. I create this little vignette, I write it up, and then we all support it and say, yeah, go for it. All right. We can see it happening for you. So it's a very supportive way to do that kind of deliberate conscious creation that we all like to do. And then finally, the shows that I've been doing with Cindy Chavez on Wednesday, we've been doing Neville Goddard for about a year and a half now. We've done all of his books, and we're now at a point where we're kind of shifting gears a little bit. So starting this coming Wednesday, we're going to be focusing more on relationship issues, which is Cindy's bailiwick. If you have any questions about relationships that you want us to address, just send a note by Facebook or via the website, or just send it to my email, walt@loatoday.net, and we will include your question in the discussions on Wednesday. So those are our announcements for the day. Anything that you want to share people about what you do? I mean, do you want to send them to your YouTube page, Linda, or tell them more about what you're doing?
You can just Google Linda Armstrong Energy Healer or go to my website, lovemylife.coach. Lots of information there. But this is the message I'll leave you with.
Oh, that's a good one.
You are enough.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You are enough. Yeah.
On a little heart-shaped thing, appropriate for the Valentine's Day season, so to speak. But absolutely, you are enough. It's a great message to remind ourselves about on a daily basis. I mean, I would include that in my mirror work. In fact, I think I probably will.
Yeah.
Just, looking in the mirror, looking myself in the eye, saying, you know what, Walt, you are enough. There you are.
Yeah. You're perfect just how you are.
Absolutely. So good stuff. Thank you, Linda, as usual. You hit the nail on the head so many times there, so we really appreciate that you do this every Friday with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to our live stream, and thank you especially to our podcast listeners, without whom we wouldn't have much of a podcast. You guys make it so much fun. Thank you so much. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everyone.